Hey everybody. I think we have a problem in the world, especially in the Western world, probably, and it's an all pervasive problem. When I say the buzzword all pervasive, you might already guess what it is. It's a narcissistic problem that goes from the individual to the social structure around the individual called family in many cases. And from there, it goes further into the state, the country, and ultimately global. To understand the problem, we need to understand object relations, a psychotherapeutic, psychoanalytic concept about how people relate to each other and perceive and interact with the world. So a healthy person, which is a rarity nowadays, I believe. By the way, part of my theory is that healthy people are ostracized and suppressed and targeted. We get there. See, a healthy person has a relationship to the introject and to the object in a communicative and reality checking in a living way. It means when you relate to a person, you create an introject of the person, which means you save the data that you get from your sensual perception from the person. You save it to your hard drive, to your memory. You create an introject of the person. So when I get to know a person very well, I can go on a walk alone and imagine to have a conversation with the same person, and it can go as far as to get new points of view by imagining the position that another person would take on the topic. So in other words, an introject can be quite deep and far going, as if you really talk to that person. But a healthy person also is fully aware that there is also an object relation. The object is still there. It's not only introjected. The person is real. It's interacting in an external at least three-dimensional world. Of course, four-dimensional with time. So we understand, a healthy person understands that there is an introject that is living in my, if I have introjected you, I have a representation of you in myself based on my memories, my empathy, my experiences with you, that enables me to kind of recall you, remember you, and even emulate you in some way. So I can have an internal dialogue with you. But I update my introject, and I'm not only interacting with my introject. When I see you, when I talk to you, I really look at you and I update the information I have about the introject. So I am aware the object is real. Why do I talk so much about what is normal? Yeah, because the world is not normal anymore. Most people seem to interact mostly based on introjects, not on reality, not on the external object, the person that is having their own identity, their own will, their own unknown goals, their individuality. They are equal beings to me. They have the same rights, they have the same complexity, and it is unknown to me. My introject is not a representation of the person. The object is something unknown to me. I can't know the object perfectly. Only a person knows who he or she is, okay? So yeah, this is what a healthy person is. And in object relations, we would describe a narcissist as a person that is completely self-absorbed. It has absorbed the whole world into its himself or herself, and also introjects everything and everybody as internalized objects and only interacts with them. Therefore, these people are delusional, have impaired reality testing, and force other people into a shared fantasy with them. So this is why you can only ignore and quarantine a narcissist out of your life, or you agree to interact with a person that is only interacting with an internalized version of you, which is very unhealthy. For the borderliner is the opposite of that in that way that they don't have introject constancy. They don't have the introject. If you're gone, the borderliner gets abandonment anxiety because there is no representation of you within the borderline personality. They only have object constancy, therefore they are hyperfixated on their partner. And psychopath has neither an introject nor an object. The psychopath relates to people only as instruments for their goals or as obstacles that are in the way to get their goal. The psychopath is only in a relation with their own goals, in a shared fantasy, in love with their goals. So, the narcissist is in love with the introjected version, not with the real person. The borderliner is in love with the object, with the external. He externalizes the whole relationship and gives up his own identity and then wants to merge with that externalized object forever. Because there is no introjected version, so it's extreme codependency. Yeah, and a healthy person has an introject and an object relationship, as I described it in the beginning. So, as we understand this, I can get to the problem of today's world, I believe, is that, yeah, of course, on an individual level, we have talked about this in many videos, but I also think we have this problem on a political level and in society. The next concepts, I don't have to explain them that much. I think we can all agree that we are living in a very hyper polarized world. So it seems that nuances and mixtures of opposites are kind of not there. So there are no mixtures of opposites and nuances, colorful pictures anymore. There is rather simple, very polarized pictures of right, wrong, left, right, on, off, this black and white splitting thing, which is also a narcissistic personality disorder feature. Um, so we're living in a highly polarized world. It is not easy to take and defend a position that is beyond these polarized pictures, because it seems as if you try to take a position, an individual position in between somewhere, your own position, it seems that you are forced to take one extreme side by the perception of others. And these others are interacting with an introject of you. They do not accept that you are an external object that has his or her own position. They see you as an introject that must have necessarily be in a far right or far left position, and therefore they have a wrong perception of you. So we're living in a hyperpolarized society, and this polarization leads to to make healthy, mature individuals um, it puts them in a position that they cannot or have a lot of problem to communicate their opinion, because the majority seems to only interact with introjects, not with what a person really is. So what I'm saying is that the media, whatever media, social media and official media and state media and all kinds of media and political parties, all of these instances and institutionalized groups seem to engage in a splitting mechanism and into interacting rather with introjects than with real people. So everybody seems to be forced into a polarized far right, far left, r- right or wrong thing. And this also leads to a kind of inflammation, a neurological inflammation and hyper-nervous environment, where people with a diverse opinion, with a nuanced opinion, are kind of giving up at some point and just retreat from this hyper competitive hostile environment. Yeah, so I just wanted to just express my opinion of today's situation, political situation, social situation, um, and describe it using object relationships. And the biggest problem is that people seem to rather interact with introjects than with real people, which is abuse, but it has become the modus operandi in a majority of cases. So it's not normal anymore. It's not common anymore to to have healthy relationships in society, in the world, in families, on an individual level, on any level. It's dying out. And that is very, it's a little bit strange if we think about that what led there was identity politics and um, and integration politics. But Yeah, this has led to narcissistic tendencies. So the idea was good for individual politics, integration, politics, but it fired back and created a narcissistic, self-absorbed, pseudo pseudo community. Okay, it's not a community if everybody is interacting only with introject and only looking at him or herself. So, yeah. And another problem again is that hurt people hurt people. So um, if we safeguard minorities that have been deeply traumatized and we integrate them everywhere, then people who were functional and had no problem will now soon have a problem. Because hurt people. They revenge and they envy functional, healthy people, which leads to further problems. So, this is just my small um, contribution to a non-existent communication. Communication has died. We have signaling. We have a culture of signaling. We have victimhood movements. We have other other forms of overtly dominant movements. But everybody is only interacting with introjects of other people, with idealized or devalued, reduced pictures and assumptions, prejudices of other people, which leads to the situation we are in. A deep identity crisis in the whole Western world.